Welcome back to another episode of the How'd I Get Here podcast for positivity, progression, and finding your own path. It's your co-host, Mr. Brown, Broke, and Guapo. 10 toes down, big head up. I'm hustling because I need a buck.
It gets better every week.
That doesn't. that does not.
I get the purples mixed up. I'm colorblind. It's your boy Spence, King Aquarius, wealth strategist, Mr. 20%, coming at you live from the collective space in Windsor, Connecticut. You know, the beautiful place where we record this podcast, where entrepreneurs come to get business done and proliferate their lives. But today, we have a very special guest that has been long overdue.
Ooh.
Proliferate?
No, it's prolific.
Prolific.
I was trying to egg it on.
Oh, my bad.
I clearly let you down. My fault.
We do the best that we can out here. It's okay. But, yes, we have the lovely, the self-driven, the self-motivated, and most of all, selfless digital media analyst / journalist Terrika Foster-Brasby. Let's go.
So you get that one right.
Yeah, you know. We do what we can. Terrika is a proud HBCU alumna, graduating from St. Augustine's University with a bachelor's in political science and also a master's of arts degree in new media journalism from Full Sail University. She's also a former D2 athlete in both volleyball and softball. She's covered the NBA, NFL, MLB, and can find bylines with ESPN, Anscape, the New York Times, Fansided, and WS Slam magazine. She's most noticeably known as the co-host to the ESPN's WNBA show Around the Rim, and also serves as 1/3 of Inflections Network's 3-on-3 podcast and CBS Sports basketball analyst. But wait,
there's more.
Last but certainly not least, she holds membership in many social and professional organizations such as, but not limited to, SG Rose Sorority Incorporated, Iota Sweethearts Incorporated, the National Panhellenic Council, NAACP, the Pro Basketball Writers Association, the Association of Women's in Sports Media, and the National Association of Black Journalists. Give it up for Terrika Foster-Brasby.
Threw the middle name out.
I was like, yo.
My God.
I was like, damn, was that in the bio?
Yo.
It is.
I got to rewrite that.
On the front page of your website.
It's funny.
My whole government. Jesus.
It's funny. Ash was like, well, this is her middle name. I was like, that's a lot. She was like, it's on her website. I was like, it's on her website.
It was there.
I need to do some updates.
Yeah.
That is wild. But yes, thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming.
Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Did we
guys.
miss anything?
No, like I'm sitting here thinking like, damn, that's you, Terrika. Oh my gosh.
That's me.
That's me.
I did all that? No, that's
crazy.
dope.
So, like we just said, that's a lot. And we going to get into all that, right? Spencer always tells me I don't talk enough about the things I've done. All that stuff he just listed. Can you say which one is your proudest one, like, to date? You know? Or let's say your two proudest.
Wow. I would probably, you don't even think about like the stuff that you've done until like you hear somebody like read it just then and you're like, damn, you did like all of that. That's crazy. I think probably graduating college, like period, is one of the proudest moments ever. Just because it wasn't a situation where I never thought that I would graduate because like I ain't gonna say like who, because some people do think they're not gonna graduate, right? But like, it's just there were a lot of factors happening in my life at that time where I had to like take some time off of school. I didn't get to go all straight 4 years. I transferred like 3 times. So like it was a process. So it was really great when, May 10th, 2010 came and I was like, yes, Lord, I will never forget it. Never forget it. So I was really proud of that. And then I think just like working in sports media, like from a television broadcast perspective, like I'm really proud of that, regardless of the network, because it took a lot. And there were a lot of people who told me I would never do it, that I couldn't do it. There were the people who like went out of their way to ensure that I couldn't do it. And we'll get into that later. And thank God there ain't no drinks on the table because that's a whole different situation.
Oh, yeah. Listen,
but
you caught us on a good week. Lucky. You caught us on a good week.
But like, yeah, I think like that's something that I'm like incredibly proud of.
Word, that's dope.
That's solid. Yeah, being back in school, being 32 and back in school, like pursuing my bachelor's, I'm just like, this is some shit.
First off, like, how are you even doing it at this?
Facts.
Like, I was at Tennessee State on Sunday, and I just kept thinking to myself, like, I could not do undergrad again. Like,
I'm
now,
online, which is cool. Like I'm pursuing it online. So like it's easier.
Yeah.
But it's also just like, damn, this is a lot.
It is. I get it.
Wait till
I get it. I couldn't like everything about college now is so different where I'm just like, if it were up to me to do it again, I wouldn't. I would just be one of them people that's just like, well, tech school me or something because I'm not going to make it. Like, I just can't. I can't do it.
So would you say, like me, right? I went to college because sports. Like, if it wasn't for soccer, I wasn't going to college.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Like, I probably would have took the tech route or went and worked on a cruise line or something like that. So what was your motivation to go to and get through college?
Yeah, a little bit of everything, right? Like, I did have a scholarship. I played volleyball and softball. I'm from Detroit originally, right?
Yep.
And so it's not a lot of people who come from where I come from that, like, successfully does things outside of working for the big three.
Right.
Like, that's the thing. In Detroit, most people will tell you, like, your goal in life, like, at least at that time, I graduated high school in 2002. So at that time, what they tell you is like, hey, you know, go to school, get good grades, stay out of trouble, and then you can get a job at working for the plant. Chrysler is like the thing that you do because
Even
in
still
Detroit,
to this day?
like, and well, I haven't lived in Detroit in like 10 years, but at the end of the day, it was success. At that point, looked like being able to secure a good financial position in the plant. You could retire well, you could make good money, you could take care of your family, you could ball out, you could do what you do. And that was that was the goal. And like, for me, it was like, I don't want to do that. Like, I don't want to work in a plant.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to be on
ambition.
TV. You know what I mean? I want to be on Broadway. Like, that was my thing. I wanted to be on Broadway. I was like, I'm going to be an actress. I'm going to be on Broadway. I'm not about to, I'm about to do this. Yeah.
That's
what?
dope.
Crazy. Crazy.
So you see this energy, it ain't for nothing.
Like, you feel me? I was like, this Leo energy is gonna be in New York. What is you talking about? Like, I'm not doing that. And then it was do whatever you have to do to get out of here.
Right.
Like, whatever that entails. If
feel
that
that.
is going to school, if that is playing sports, if that is whatever, if that's singing well, acting well, be the best so that you can get the hell out of Detroit. Like, that was the ultimate goal. And so I used sports to do that. I used my grades to do that. I did whatever I needed to do in order. And then on my 18th birthday, August 17th, 2002, I was on a plane to Miami, Florida, because that's where I first went to school, in Florida. So I was out. Like, I was not playing. You know how your mama be like, when you 18, you can get out my house? Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Heard you.
Heard on the way. So that's where that was. But yeah, like, that's just kind of what it was. It was just do what you got to do to get out of here so you can live good.
Right. That's dope. Ambition. I see a lack of that a lot. It's because I work with kids now.
Oof.
And we actually kind of talked about it last week of folks that, like, you're in I don't like saying this way, but a lesser than situation. Where is your ambition to know, like, there is more out there, or I want more for myself? And it sounds like you got that.
Yeah, for sure. And I didn't grow up in a situation where it was like, oh, you were like poor or anything like that. Like, I grew up with my great grandparents. I had a very stable household. You know what I mean? My parents, they made me earn everything. They didn't give me everything, but they made me earn everything.
Which you appreciated.
Which I later appreciated because at the time I was like, I'm about to get a job. I'm not messing with y'all. You know what I mean? Because old people do old people shit. Like, you know, old people do old people shit. It is the truth. It don't matter what. Like, my grandparents, I'm so proud of them and so thankful for them because, you know, not just grandparents. I grew up with my great grandparents. So when I came around, my great grandma was like 50. You know what I mean? So I know, don't make that face. We was young. We was freaking. They was freaking very young. Okay.
Oh, they part of the Freaknik.
I seen the Freaknik documentary too. You know, I was looking for people like, I bet not see my grandma out there. I bet not see. If I see Dorothy out here, I'm gonna act a whole fool. They got grandma names. Like if I see Dorothy and Thelma out here, I'm gonna act a fool. But swear. It's true. It's true. But like they were young when I came along. So, but at the same time, they were still like born in like 20s, 30s. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
so
different time,
different era. Married for 50 years. Didn't have more than a 9th grade education, and came to Detroit to work at the plant. You get me? So that's how they ended up there. But at the end of the day, they still made good on that opportunity. Like they, worked at the plant, ended up owning a store, owning a tire store, owned houses, rented them out, like built wealth for themselves. Right. Yeah. But they still owe people. So no, you not getting Heinz ketchup. We about to get this 25-cent ketchup that don't have no name. No, you not about to buy these $200 gym shoes. You can go to Payless and get them shoes right there that is just as good. And I'm just like,
that lasts like a month.
These kids
you know what I'm
never know.
You know what I mean? Pay like for real. Like they were not broke. And yet I understand now how they remained that way because they didn't spend money on frivolous things. Like they were very, very cheap. Very cheap.
Cost effective.
Very we'll say that.
Yeah. Cool. Are we doing a question of the day?
I mean, I was going to say we kind of got the ball rolling, but if you have one, that's your call.
I'm about to say I do have one though. Ooh. So, question of the day.
Did he do it?
Yes.
Did he do it?
I'm not a betting man, but if I was,
my fault.
I'm going with 50. So, now my question of the day is: what is your favorite childhood TV show?
Oh, A Different World. Not even.
That was quick.
Quick. Oh, quick. Period.
Wow.
Love A Different World. To this day, we'll watch every season.
Why?
Love it. Well, it just. This makes me so happy.
Yeah, look at that smile. Just had a whole flashback.
Oh my gosh, it makes me so happy. I loved the diversity of the show, and it truly was one of those things where I started to appreciate being like Black. Like in the love that I have of being like a Black woman. And it was never there, but it was like you didn't truly get it or understand it until you really started to see yourself on TV. And like in the 90s, that wasn't like the biggest thing. Like it wasn't something that's talked about like people talk about it now, like representation and things like that. It was just kind of.
That was more early 2000s,
that was,
right?
Right. I want to say even like mid 2010s did it really start to become a thing where people are like, oh, we really want to see ourselves represented, which should have always been a thing, right? But that was just one of those shows where it talked about everything. I mean, AIDS, going into the military, getting married early and being broke afterwards. Like Dwayne and Whitley was broke after they got married. Like that was a thing, you know what I mean? Damn. Going to college and like being around other Black students, because for a long time, and I graduated from an HBCU, but for a long time, I had a mentality where I was like, I don't want to go to an HBCU, not because I didn't think HBCUs were good, but because I didn't want to be the best only among Black people. I wanted to be the best among everybody. But what I didn't understand, and then having gone to a PWI, is that the way that you're treated, the way that you learn, like when I was at an HBCU, I was Terrika, or, people would say Miss Foster to be funny. They'd be like, oh, Terrika, Miss Foster. When I was at a PWI, I was, what's your ID number? Your ID number is what? It was like the personality of how people looked at you. You were just another student.
You were a paycheck for
you were just another number in the hundreds of thousands of people who went here or will go here. Jeez. Like at my Black college, like I was a person. I was someone. People knew me. And I don't mean people like the students. I mean like the staff. They knew you. They understood you. If something happened or if you got in trouble, it was like, this is out of your character. Well, how do they know what's in your character? Because they get to know you. That's dope. Something that people don't really realize. But I saw that reflected in A Different World, because I would see people like Mr. Gaines, who owned the little hangout spot, and he knew people like Kim Reese, and he knew like Jada's character, Lena James. Like he knew them. He got to know them. So that was like, it was just so much about that show that I loved.
Wow. Damn.
I don't know if I can follow that up.
Especially
because you gave me too much time to think. So you know me, whenever I answer these questions, it may not always be my true answer, but the first ones that come to mind. You know what I mean? So the first 2 shows that came to mind were Rocket Power and the show Angel. Dude was a
Was he like a vampire?
right?
Yes.
So Rocket Power was just dope because it's like Nickelodeon.
Such a throwback.
Which are we canceling Nickelodeon right
So that's
now?
why that's where the question stemmed from. But
And I went to a whole like NBC show. I didn't even go kid show. Okay.
Yeah, like
wow, but are we canceling Nickelodeon?
Nickelodeon.
Maybe that's a different question.
yeah, maybe that's another because we'll go off on that tangent. But like
Different tangent.
Nickelodeon, and old Nickelodeon. Like, there's 2 types of Nickelodeons.
facts.
That is facts.
But you know, it was just cool to kind of see, you know, like 4 kids just like rocking out. You know what I mean? The stoned father who was there trying to be a good father, whatever it was. It's just kids like back then. RTV promoted like sports and
He
was high,
kids being bro.
I guess so.
Him and Tito were high and
drunk.
hype, bro,
Right.
all the time.
Okay.
So it was just cool. But then the reason I say Angel, and not so much because of the show itself, but like we didn't live with my dad growing up.
Okay.
So we saw my dad Sunday, Mondays, and Wednesdays. And we would always go over there, me, my brother, and sister, and watch certain shows. And it was one of those things that like
You couldn't watch at home.
we just watched together, yeah. And like if we went back home, you know, now there was only one TV at my dad's house, but we're sharing it amongst us. You know, my mom kind of just letting us do whatever, and we didn't really have that like time where we all had to sit down and like, all right, this is what you're doing.
Yeah.
So that's the first show that I remember of like all of us watching together and like enjoying it and getting into it.
I love that.
Now, should a 10-year-old be watching that? I don't know. But
TNT was dope. What?
that Buffy the Vampire Slayer,
Supernatural.
that was a little older. I
Is
was like in high school going into college.
That was high school for me
Yeah.
too. Supernatural.
And that's why I didn't think about that. Well, mention that because I was a little older. I'm trying to think like early. Angel was the beginning shows like when TV was like Highlander.
So like those channels, those TV shows used to come on this channel in Detroit called the WB, which was supposed to be like Warner Brothers, but it was racist as hell because it was like this little frog who was like dancing around.
No, we had
like that. It was just like, what type of shit is this? Why does this frog sound like this? Why is he dancing like this? This is so out of pocket.
Yeah. So that came on
we
WB.
had a great
and TNT.
childhood.
We really did. Because the Parenthood used to come on that channel and everything. I don't know if you guys remember the Parenthood, but that was a great show.
Wait, the show?
Yeah, okay, so there was a show called The Parenthood with Robert Townsend, and he was like a dad, and Reagan Gomez, she used to play on the show. It was a really cool show. It was him, his wife, and they had 3 kids. And so it was just like one of those Family Matter type shows.
You're not thinking Parent Trap, are you?
You're thinking of Parent Trap?
Yeah, I was like, that's
Parent.
a
as
show.
soon as you said it was a show, I already knew.
We have to clear the air here just so folks are aware. I am damn near 40. I am old. So
Black don't crack,
I
though.
remember like old mid 80s, early 90s type stuff that like I understand if other people don't remember. It's okay.
You used to watch
date me.
The 18.
Marshall.
And to watch who?
Marshall.
I don't think I used to watch Marshall.
There was like, it was like a really like old like country, not country, but like an old like detective show. My mom still watches
Well,
it
I'm
to
not
this
that
day.
old.
You calling Avis old?
You call it Terrika old.
I'm
If you
just
think I
saying.
remember Marshall.
I'm not calling you
I
old.
do remember like Columbo, like those
like watching reruns.
old shows. Like I didn't watch it, but those was like
Walker, Texas Ranger.
that was actually okay. Let's not sleep on Walker, Texas
That
Ranger
show was
though,
hard.
because that was hard. Definitely used to watch that, and
That's
it
the
would
old
come
version
on
of,
late.
Like Yellowstone, I feel like now.
Oh man,
For sure.
Chuck Norris was not a game.
Sure
Don't
wasn't.
play with him.
It got a little cliche though, because he's
Beard
ending
sturdy.
every episode with a roundhouse kick.
He did. He
We'll
did.
finish this off
He
with the
did.
signature.
He had
He did.
Once he started, he
And
couldn't
Trevette
stop.
was right there to have his back. You know? I love that show.
Can't stop, won't stop.
Right. Nah, I would say my favorite show. I was an anime kid, like growing up. So Toonami was big. So it's like the shows that come to mind for me was Inuyasha, Dragon Ball Z,
Hello.
Yu Yu
Gundam Wing.
Hakusho, yeah, Gundam Wing,
R.I.P. to the
Ronin
creator of Dragon Ball
Warriors.
Z.
Yeah.
But to piggyback on what you said, a show that I totally forgot watching with my parents was 24.
Oh, that was such a good show.
Yeah, with Jack Bauer, like, yo, this whole season happened in 24 hours.
In 24 hours. Like, what type of day is this?
And then they got to like season 5 and they were gonna blow up the country again, and it was like, yo, this is crazy.
Yes. Oh my God, 24 was so good.
Yeah,
No, that's a fact.
Yeah.
That and Prison Break.
Prison Break.
But I got
They went,
tired
like,
of that
back
because
to
they got
back.
locked up like 8 times, and I was like, bro,
I couldn't get past the first season. Like,
Prison Break.
that was the best one.
Yeah,
that was the best
Oh, like after.
After that, I was just like, this is
Yeah.
silly.
No, that was
kind
the
of like
best one.
Lost. Like,
Yeah, I didn't finish.
Yeah,
that.
I didn't finish Lost.
I didn't finish Lost either.
I felt too dragged out.
Yeah.
It's like we get it.
No, that
But
was
we
good.
don't.
That was not at all. I think my first introduction to anime was Sailor Moon, and I didn't know it.
oh yeah.
Tuxedo Man.
I'm telling you,
That's
it was
a good one to get
like
introduced
because
to.
you don't even realize that it's like at
Anime.
that time I didn't realize that like anime was a thing. It was just another
Right.
cartoon to me. But then like as like you get older and
Yeah.
like as you were talking about Inuyasha, I was like, oh crap, like this is like a Sailor Moon cartoon.
Yeah.
And so
That's how I feel about Samurai Jack.
oh yeah, Samurai Jack. Yep.
Samurai Jack is also a bop.
That was like my intro to it when I was growing up.
Yep. Those are dope.
This is look at us all happy right now. Like,
Then you remember you're an adult and you're like,
Man. Ghetto. My bad. I like singing. But since we're reminiscing and stuff, let's tie back to where we started the conversation and go back to the beginning of your journey, right? So you said that volleyball and softball was is what kind of got you to college. Obviously, as in addition to your grades,
Right.
and everything like that. What were some of your best, or what are your best and worst memories from softball and volleyball, through college and stuff like that?
got it. Okay. Best memory from volleyball was when I actually got in the game because I played with a lot of really good volleyball players. I had a teammate from Venezuela and her name was
so
Oneida.
tall.
Oh my God, was she?
Like,
And like college really like playing D2, I played D2 and D3. So playing in college period just reminds you that no matter how good you are in high school, people are better than you.
Best.
Like there are a lot of people who are really good in high school and they all play in college. And so you walk in and you feel like, man, I'm the shit. Like I'm cool. I'm about to, and you get put in your place very quickly.
Right.
And so I definitely had my welcome to the league moment, league in air quotes, but I definitely had my welcome to the league moment because my teammate was from Venezuela. And if anyone's familiar with volleyball, you have your positions: outside hitter, middle hitter, blocker, setter, libero. So I played libero. And right.
Get it.
And I'm like, psh, are you kidding me? Like
I'm hurt.
I'm hurt for real. You know what I'm saying? I went out there and I had and then I'm like, I'm in the back and I'm out there and I'm actually playing like the 5 or whatever, and I promise you, I don't know, I to this day, and it's been like 15 years, and I to this day still don't know where Oneida came from. Like, all I know is the ball went up. Our setter, her name was Michelle. She set the ball. I saw Oneida's feet leave the ground, and then the ball was just in my face. I don't know when she set it. I don't know when she hit it. I just know the ball hit me. And I'm like, smack dead on the ground, like ground face like that. Like I'm thinking that I'm getting ready to dive so I can pass the ball. No, the ball was already on. Like the ace was already there. It was just, and at that point it just smacked me dead in the face. And my coach
must have really got on top of that.
when I tell you, Oneida's like 6'4", 6'5". She has so much power. She was in great shape, and I just kept thinking to myself like, I think I need to sit this one out.
It's too late to go do something else.
We need to restart this. And like, it was crazy because you think like, if this is how your teammate is coming at you, how do you think your opponents are going to come at you? So like, that was my welcome to college moment where I was like, okay, you are not as good as you think you are. Development
anymore.
is a thing. So that was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun. I think my favorite moment from volleyball though is I had never been to Disney World before, and so I played in Florida at this HBCU called Florida Memorial. Then it was Florida Memorial College, but now it's Florida Memorial University. And so we ended up playing a school called Embry-Riddle University, which is in Daytona. Daytona Beach is only like an hour and some change away from Orlando. So as a like surprise after we won, our coach took us to Disney World, and that was my first time ever going to Disney World.
Now, where y'all going if y'all lost?
I don't know. I ain't asked no questions. I feel like them tickets had to have been bought already. So
I would hope.
so I don't know what was going down. But I love that. Like, it was my first time ever going. I had such a good time. It was great to be with my teammates. I still have a great relationship with my teammates too. Like the ones that I still talk to. I want to say, like, some people just, you just lose contact over time. But there's about a good 5 who even to this day, like, they have kids and they will send me pictures of their kids, how their kids are doing. We'll talk on Facebook or Instagram, and we'll still say, hey, teammate, you know what I mean? Like, it never leaves. So, like, that's a great thing. And that same thing with softball too. My softball teammates, we're all still very close, very cool. Half of the team was from Detroit, so we would see each other when we go home, and that type of thing. So, like, those are all the great moments. Still have a great relationship with my coach. Even now, when I'm going back to the CIAA, which is where St. Aug is, I usually call the CIAA basketball games, the tournament, and so I will see my former coach at the tournament, and she'll always like make sure, like, yeah, that was one of my players. So, like, that's really dope. Those are great memories that I really love.
Word. And that's the thing, like, college sports, like you said, I think is you're part of, like, the 1% or the 10% that go on to play or just go on to be on a team.
Yeah.
Getting in the court, field, whatever, is a whole nother
beast.
Conversation, right?
Whole nother beast.
And you, like, going into HBCUs, right? So I like to reference Coach Prime a lot, Deion Sanders, right? A lot of people, some people agree or disagree with how he was at a HBCU, built him up, and then dipped, right? So it's kind of like a 2-part question. What do you think about what Coach Prime did? And we'll dive into that. And then 2, how can HBCUs get more, funding, notoriety, recognition, because like you said, you were more than just a number there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You were a human.
It's like it's a 2-part answer, right? Part 1 is HBCUs don't have a lot of money and a lot of funding. So because of that, it realistically, you're not going to be able to pay a coach at a HBCU that you would at a Power 5.
Right.
Like, that's just
It's
the
reality.
bottom line. That's just reality, right? And so you have to think about what decision are you going to make that's going to be best for you and your family to put you where you want to go. And I think the part of the problem with what happened with Prime is that there is an assumption that because he's a former NFL player, because he's done well with himself, done well with his money, that he should need to, want to be paid for what he does.
To the HBCU.
Or that exactly, like, or anything like that. And my stance on that is, if this man wants to coach at an elite level, if he wants to be on the same playing field as a Nick Saban, as a Lincoln Riley, as all these other coaches who, whether they have earned or not earned, well, Nick Saban has most certainly earned his. But some of these Power 5 coaches, the truth of the matter is, you're most likely not going to get there from an HBCU. And it's fucked up and it's not fair, but it's the reality. And so I appreciate that while he was at Jackson State, he didn't shortchange them. Like, he absolutely gave those young men the tools that they needed to be successful. He put that program on the map. He invested his own money.
And took some with him when he left.
And did, right? Like, and so, but I also put the onus on the students, because at the end of the day, if you want people to pay attention to an HBCU, you need to go there. So I've seen players, like, I can't remember his name, it escapes me right now, but there was a player who was like a top player in the nation in basketball, and he pulled out of Florida State to go to Howard. And I love, this was like 2-3 years ago, and he pulled out to go to Howard, and I love that, because at the end of the day, do you think the media is not going to go to Howard to follow this kid? Like, wherever you go, they're going to follow you, right? And so part of the other answer to that question is, how do we get more money? How do we get more attention, more recognition? Whoever the we is, whether that's support systems, whether that's parents, teachers, coaches, whoever, have to stop putting it in these really good athletes' minds and heads that in order to be successful or to do what you want to do, you have to go to a certain kind of school.
Right.
Like, we need to instill the fact that HBCUs will give you a great education and can provide you a system to be competitive, but you have to approach it that way. And we don't approach it that way. You know what I mean? Like, I can look at Jerry Rice and be like, yo, Jerry Rice went to Mississippi Valley. You know what I'm saying? We look at Shannon Sharp on First Take every day. That man went to Savannah State. Stephen Smith is the highest paid man in sports media. And, well, maybe about to be repaid because Pat McAfee is now probably the highest paid now based on that $10 million contract he got. But Stephen A. Smith is right under him. And with that being said, he's a product of Winston-Salem State University. So these are HBCU graduates that are making it and are successful.
And I think now they're starting to, like you look at Ocho Cinco, right? He was on the Breakfast Club a week or two ago with his FAMU jacket.
Yep.
A lot of these people are now starting to say, hey, I went there. And I don't want to say be proud of it because obviously they went there, they were proud. But like you're saying, actually talk about it and say, like, this is a thing. This needs to be talked about.
Right. Know? We need to hear more about other great programs outside of just the FAMs or the Jackson States or the Howards or Hamptons.
Because there are so many more.
There are tons more. I love seeing, we're in the NCAA tournament right now, college basketball season, Jackson State, Norfolk State, like the Grambling. These are 3 HBCUs that were just in the tournament. Like, that's amazing for them to be there.
Right.
So I just say all that to say, like, it's a multi-part. Everyone has to play a part in their own way to get there, and we can get there, but people are just also nuts. And y'all need to leave that man alone because he did what he felt was best for him. And people only cared about Colorado because he was there. So the same thing that they were saying about Jackson State, you could say about Colorado. And when he leaves Colorado, ain't nobody going to give a damn about them no more.
All them shirts y'all bought, all them hoodies.
Y'all ain't going to care about that school no more either. Pac-12 don't even exist no more. Y'all be all right.
I think what stood out to me with that whole thing is that I don't think students realize how much power they have in their possession. Especially women's college basketball. I see that on TikTok more than anything. That girl Juju
on that beat.
Man,
disgusting.
Man,
nasty.
Disgusting.
Nasty.
So we're gonna get back to your college journey, right? But he brought it up.
Let's go there.
So I gotta go there.
Let's go there.
Right? And me and Bri, the camera guy, Bri Bunny, we're having a debate the other day in the group chat about Caitlyn Clark.
Oh my God.
Right? And in the midst of this, Ash goes, guys, don't you dare embarrass me on Tuesday. Do y'all homework. So I went and I just took a scroll at the 3on3 podcast.
Yes.
Did I say it right?
You did.
Right? And I said, here's a post on Caitlyn Clark.
And that I did?
That you did.
I know which one it is.
Yeah. So
and I stand 10 toes down on that.
And I'm gonna double down on it. I'm gonna double down with you. So my opinion on Caitlyn Clark, right? There is no question that she's great, right? And if you want to say she's the greatest scorer ever, I'll put her in that conversation, right? But when you say she is the greatest ever, right? And here's my issue. Spencer just said, right now, women's college basketball is everywhere, right? And I don't want to say they're forcing the agenda, but they're putting it on us, right? As they should.
As we should. Yep. I'm pro forcing that agenda.
For sure.
Period.
But where I have the issue is, right, Caitlyn Clark, might she be the best right now? Yes. But I'm not going to take away from the Maya Moores, the Stewarts, the Candace Parkers, the Diana Taurasi, the Keisha Sales, all the people who
that's my cousin,
who also did what she did to some extent and won and had a more rounded game.
Yes,
you get what I'm saying?
Yep.
Because in college sports, and obviously now there's money that comes into it, right? But when those people played, all you could say was, "Did you win?"
It is so difficult to have a GOAT conversation because the GOAT is not defined by any specific thing. And what I say that is because it's subjective. Like your definition of a GOAT is different than your definition of a GOAT, which is different from your definition of a GOAT. And so how can there just be one?
Right.
Everybody's going to have their own. You know what I mean? I'm very good friends with Sheryl Swoopes. Yes, that is me putting on some bragging shit.
I know Spencer.
You feel me? My girl Ash already know we done had brunch, hung out with Auntie Cheryl. That's my girl.
Love you.
And so, as much as I love, I think that Sheryl Swoopes is one of the greatest players of all times, and I say one of because I also love Cynthia Cooper for very different reasons, and they were teammates. You get what I'm saying? And so, I'm not gonna put one over the other, but I will say Cheryl did it all just like Cynthia did it all, but Cheryl did just a little bit more. And so I can kind of understand how people will argue with me over, well, you got to pick one. Nah, I ain't going to pick one because I don't want the problem.
I don't got to do
You
anything.
know
I
what
want
I'm
no
saying?
smoke.
Because I want both of them, and that's just is what it is. So, but that's different to someone else who maybe came along in the late 90s who didn't see like, and when I say came along, I mean maybe being born in the late 90s.
Right.
So when you were old enough to start really watching women's basketball, you saw the Candace Parkers and the Mighty Ward. And so I look at that in the NBA too. You get people in their 60s and 70s are going to argue that it's Kareem and it's not a problem. People my age are going to argue that it's MJ and that's just it. People younger than me, all they see is LeBron. That's what they going for. And then you got your Kobe fans, like, and that's just what it is. And I can get with all of them. Honestly, I can get with all of them. But the thing, and even now, little kids now in the 2010 era, now they talking about Steph Curry. It is what it is. Like, I understand where you come from is going to make the difference. But there is no true GOAT. And so with all of that being said, the one thing that I think all of us have in common when we're talking about our GOATs is not only how they played individually, but what they accomplished, what the hardware looked like. Right. It is difficult for me to accept anybody in a greatest of all time conversation and you ain't won a ring. It's just, I can't do it. And even outside of the ring, you don't play defense. Yeah. And I don't mean that negatively because
reality.
Defense is totally different. I'm telling you, look, that 08 UConn team is locking them up. Like, what are we talking about, bro?
And let's be real. If Paige Buchers doesn't tear her ACL 2 years in a row, Caitlyn who? And I don't mean that to put her down.
No, I know what you're saying. I think that they are two different players, but I also think in terms of name recognition, Paige definitely probably would have, because she was already on her way there. Right. Honestly, we've seen, and I'd have to take myself out of the conversation a little bit sometimes because I understand that I'm inundated in this sport, right? So it's my job to like follow players and look around and be more into, but in terms of a household name, Caitlyn Clark became a true household name maybe a little over a year ago.
Like, around this time.
Yeah. Before then, people didn't really know who Caitlyn Clark was unless you were either really deep into women's basketball or you were in Iowa and you followed it so you knew it or around that area. Right. You know what I'm saying? Other than that, you didn't really know. And that's okay. Like, I love this for women's basketball. I love the fact that people are talking about it.
They're
love when I turn it, they're
really
debating
care.
it.
I pulled up all her accolades and put it in the group chat. I said, bro, where you even find that, bro?
I love that. I love that. Paul Pierce went on the podcast and was like, yo, I can't name nobody in the men's tournament, but I can name like 5 in the women. I love that for us. Like, I love it here. But with that comes, if you're really going to be in it and you're really going to follow it, do enough of your research so that you can make informed decisions if you're going to get in on the discussion. Because what people don't understand is that it's totally okay to say, hey, listen, I just really started watching like a month ago, so I don't really know. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's cool to say that. You know what I'm saying? But it's also obvious when you just started watching a month ago and then you try to get in on a debate and you don't know what the hell you talking about. And we're like, bruh.
Just loud and wrong.
Just loud and wrong.
Just go sit over there.
Just go in the corner somewhere.
I appreciate you trying to do what's cool, but nah.
It doesn't help the sport when people are talking about it inaccurately or ignorantly. It's like, just be like, cool, hey, I just started watching. I'm a new fan. I'm just trying to get in on it. And I'm like, I'll be the one to be like, hey, yo, let me tell you about such and such, whatever. Right. With all of that being said, I love the conversations that surround Caitlyn Clark. She is truly phenomenal. She is box office. She is not single-handedly, but there are so many other players this year that are just crazy. Rakia Jackson out of Tennessee, she's nuts. And she's from the D. Put on for the D for me, girl. Put on. Hey, she's nuts. Juju Watkins, what? That girl is 18.
Crazy.
18?
She's a freshman.
She won't be 19 till July.
She's a freshman
like
going crazy
freshman.
like that?
Freshman going nuts. Be like fresh in it. Fresh in it. And this is the first time that USC has made it to the Sweet 16 in 30 years. Like, that is
I didn't know she was so. I would have thought she was like a junior.
She's a freshman.
No, that's why people even going more crazy about her.
She gonna be around.
We get like 3 more years of that. You know what I'm saying? Like that. And the great thing about women's ball over the men's is that you have to be 22 years old by the time of the draft or a 4-year senior in order to enter the draft.
Have to be.
So you have to be. So if you're 20,
you agree with that?
Do I? Yes. Look at the men's tournament. One and done is for shit. I hate it. I've always hated it. Really? And I'm glad that it's bad now so people can stop doing it. I hate it.
Well, I feel like in the men's game, especially because the NIL, there's more incentive to stay because people were leaving for the bag. There was no other reason to stay.
Well, I think that people get a little bit of confused in what NIL really can do, right? And by that, I mean, you don't necessarily lose your NIL money when you go into the league. It just goes from NIL to endorsement, pretty much. So you're actually getting more money because now on top of your endorsements, you're adding a base salary, whatever the league is paying you or whatever your contract is. But we are still absolutely living in a one and done era because I don't know if y'all are following the basketball tournament right now, but Kentucky just got put out in the first round. And you know why? Kentucky has 5 freshmen that are starting. Because John Calipari swear, if you don't sit your ass down and fight you, dog, I swear to God, fight John Calipari because it's you. You the reason that we're doing this one and done foolishness.
You heard what he said?
Yes, I heard what he said.
He went right before, for y'all that don't know, right before the pregame press conference or whatever, and he said, "Let me brag real quick," right? And he said, and I'm gonna get the numbers wrong, but he said 45% of my players are in the NBA. Yeah. 20% of them have been first round draft picks, and of that 20%, another 15 get a second contract. Yep. So now you understand why folks come to Kentucky. And he knew what he was doing. He's on the biggest stage. He's marketing.
He's marketing.
Right?
Yeah.
Marketing and making an excuse.
Well, yeah. Well, he's certainly to your point, he's certainly recruiting.
Right.
You get what I mean? You're recruiting.
Look what I do.
Because you know these freshmen.
I'm going to
get you one. But I'm going to tell you what that does for college basketball. It makes it unrelatable. Because one thing that you love about women's college basketball, and this here is just my opinion. One thing that I think that people love about women's college basketball is the fact that you get to grow with these players. Everybody here, I hope, has heard of Aaliyah Boston. Aaliyah Boston, last year, #1 draft pick. She played at South Carolina. South Carolina lost all 5 of their starters last year. Undefeated. They come back this year.
Oh, I've heard about this. Yes.
Come back this year, they are undefeated. Here's the thing.
I love that coach.
What I love, because Dawn Staley.
Yeah,
you heard of Dawn Staley, right? Oh, Jesus, it's okay. It's
okay. He said present when you said
it's okay. It's all right. I'm not mad. I'm not mad. We just finna learn shit.
I want South Carolina.
So, you ain't got to be a secret about it. I want South Carolina to win. But I just say all of that to say that people loved that South Carolina team and felt really bad when those 5 freshmen graduated and left because they grew up with them. Because they saw them. They called them the Freshies. They had a nickname. So from freshman year to senior year,
they always started?
They didn't always start. Eventually you knew who they were and and then when it was your turn up, it was your turn up.
Got it.
So you get to learn and grow with these players. I just said Juju. We about to see 3 more years of Juju because Juju can't She can't leave. And you get to, if you're a USC fan, you get to know players, you get to know, things about them. You get to watch them grow and develop. That's the beauty of women's basketball. You get to fall in love with your team because you get to know your team. When on the men's side, I'm a Michigan State fan from men's basketball. And I can tell you 3 people. Of course I know who's on the team because I know the team. Right. But every year I have to look at my roster. And the thing is, Michigan State is not even Tom Izzo is not even a coach who really does one and done. Does he have one and done players from time to time? Sure. But there's a reason a guy like Draymond Green is a beast at what he does. He didn't come to Michigan State and play 1 year. He stayed all 4. You know what I mean? There's a reason that guys really come out of his program as solid players because he preaches, the family effort. He doesn't recruit you for 1 year. He recruits you because he wants to help you develop you for 4 years so that when you do go to the NBA, because they go into the NBA, but you'll be a solid player with a little bit more longevity. I think Duke is another program that was like that. Coach K didn't always, he's not there anymore, but Coach K didn't always recruit for one and done. He recruited because he wanted you to be there and to build with you.
A lot of people came out of Duke.
But a lot of one and done players, and then after a while he started to see the recipe, and one and done started to be the thing. Zion Williamson was one and done out of Duke. It was a few people. What's Tatum, my man? Jason Tatum, Kyrie, all these guys. You get it. They're great. Like, you can get to the promised land, sure, but Kentucky took it to a whole new level where you're expecting, this is why you get put out by a team like Oakland. Again, another team from Michigan that's 45 minutes from Detroit that everybody go to when you can't get into Michigan State or Michigan. You go to Oakland. So it just is what it is. But those guys played together all 4 years.
That's a family.
Right.
They know each other. They know the
play.
game. They're experienced. You done came up on these 5 talented freshmen, but they're still freshmen.
Right.
So right now, like, a lot of people are saying, like, the women's game is more watched and more favored to the men's game, right?
Yep.
But there's always conversations about how the women's game is evolving and what can we do to evolve it.
Yep.
So 2-part question, and this could be collegiate and, you know, WNBA.
Yep.
How do we continue to evolve the game? And what are your thoughts on, there's, you know, a lot of people say maybe we should lower the rims. I'm not saying I'm for
So
or
they can dunk
against.
more?
Well,
I always think, my question to people who say that, not you specifically,
Right,
but my question to people who say that is, are you a fan of basketball or are you a fan of dunking?
Right.
Because if you're a fan of dunking, you
Right.
can watch AN1. Y'all remember the AN1 tournament?
Yeah.
The-
Escalade,
Or
the
slam
professor.
ball.
you feel me? You feel me? Could none of them ball on a real team?
Skip to my Lou. Come on.
Oh, okay. Skip
Come
to my
on.
Lou, I give you that
Hot
one.
sauce?
I give you that.
You don't think so?
They was all carrying.
It was, I mean,
They was all traveling. Skip the only one that made it to the
He,
league.
for real, and I say that not to say like they can't be taught the game, but I'm saying the essence of basketball is the same no matter who plays it. If you
Right.
play it,
Right.
if you are a fan of basketball, to say I'm not entertained by the women's game
don't
is
love
to
the
say it ain't really basketball for you.
I think it's more
you like the
technical.
above the rim style of play. That, like, to me, that's the big, because there are girls that are now much quicker, so the pace is much faster. There are girls who have handles just like dudes have handles. I think the women's game fundamentally is so much better than the men's game. And in terms of dunking, I don't know if y'all heard, but like Candace Parker can dunk. Brittany Griner can dunk. Brianna Stewart can dunk. Has done it. Jonquil Jones can dunk. Like Fran Beliebe, she ain't even in the W yet. She was playing at Stanford and she can dunk. Like this, like dunking is not a thing that like is only for men now. Like if that's what you want to see, women in the W can do it. They've done it before.
Right.
But I just think that lowering the rims to me is satisfying a group of people who don't give a damn about women's basketball anyway. Because we just had an incredible display of at the NBA All-Star with Steph Curry and Sabrina Ionescu going back and forth, and it was great. I was like, yo, first off, Sabrina shot enough to win the men's 3-point
And she
challenge.
shot,
She
if I'm
won.
not-
Well, she would, if she was in the men's 3-point challenge, like the actual 3-point challenge, she would have won.
Oh, okay.
But
Her and Steph.
But
did
her and
something
Steph did
separate.
something separate. Yeah, they had like they separate like a contest or whatever. And Steph ended up winning literally on the last shot because it was a money ball worth 3 points.
And she shot from the men's 3-point line.
She
if I'm
shot
not
from the
mistaken,
men's
right?
3-point line. And what happened during that? What happened during that contest? Kenny Smith, who was on the broadcast, started talking junk and going to say, oh, she should have shot from the girls' 3-point line or she should have used a girl's ball.
She even used the girls' ball.
So here's my
so
thing.
she was getting right. She was getting right.
Talk about
it.
The disrespect be crazy.
The disrespect, it doesn't matter what you do. There's always going to be something that someone's going to say, oh, you should do this or you need to do that. Like, it's never going to be enough.
Did she say anything? No.
Like, you feel me?
But
Like,
does
she
she need
basically
to?
asked me, how
Right.
many men in the NBA are about to go toe-to-toe out shooting Steph Curry? It's not too many.
Nobody. Dame.
Like, Dame, maybe,
Clay,
maybe
3 year ago, Clay.
I was gonna say
3 year ago, Clay.
Not this year, Clay.
3 year ago, Clay.
Not this year, Clay. Maybe KD. Like,
Oh yeah.
it's just, and not this year, KD, because I'll be looking at. I'm not going there because
Yeah,
Phoenix
let's
done pissed me off.
listen. You're looking at the number one KD.
Hater?
I don't want to say hater.
Phoenix finna piss me off.
Just yeah. I'm not a KD fan.
I'm just saying the point is, it doesn't matter what you do as a woman in this game. Someone will always find a way to discredit what you're doing and say, well, you need to do this or you should do that. And so I think that by lowering the rim, you're catering to a group of people who will never respect your game anyway.
Right.
So why do it?
Right.
Right. That makes sense.
And you just said, you know, no matter, as a woman in this game, no matter what you do, somebody's going to discredit what you do. So you, as a digital media journalist and sports analyst,
Yeah.
amongst the other things you do, I don't want to minimize
Yeah.
you.
No, you're
right?
good.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. Go back to the intro. Speak on that, like to your own experience. You know, either whether it be in school, throughout the media,
Career.
career. Speak on that to you personally.
That shit is crazy, y'all. Like it's interesting. The amount of discourse that happens when you start ruffling feathers, right? And I think that's what happens with a lot of women in sports, specifically Black women, because the playing field ain't always equal, even among women. You know what I mean? Like that's that's definitely not equal, even among women. But I have been lucky in some ways because I've been really supported and surrounded by other Black women in the game who have been able to give me the game in terms of, do this, work with this person, network with this person, speaking my name in rooms that I'm not in to help me get to other places. I love that. I always give love and shouts out to like my girl Jamel Hill. I've been knowing her since I was 16. My homegirl Carrie Champion, she used to be a Sports Center anchor. I was her producer, so love her. LaChina Robinson, I've worked with her extensively over the last 8 years. She is one of the best people I've ever met. I love her dearly. And then there's so many more. Monica McNutt, I know most people are really just now seeing her, but like I've been seeing Monica for a long time, and she's someone who continually will speak my name in rooms that I'm not in. Ari Chambers is another one. Christina Williams. Like these are all people who ride out for each other. Like we have to in this space because if we don't look out for us, no one else is going to look out for us. But I have been told multiple times that I wouldn't be here. When I first started in this part of my career, I was I started off as an audio editor. So I was a podcast editor. And so I was doing that for years. I was at ESPN for about 6.5 years as a part-time audio editor. Let that sink in. I had so many other people come and take on full-time positions that I had applied for. I didn't get those jobs.
That I
was more than qualified for because here I am taking on full-time hours and doing the extra work because we were down people. And when I apply for the position, I don't get it. But you bring in this white boy to do the same thing that I'm doing, and now I got to train him how to do his job. Like, it was crazy. I can't make it up.
And fix his work.
It's crazy because I can't make this shit up. But what was interesting about that is that it wasn't a secret that my aspirations were to be on camera. And I even had an executive one time straight up tell me, I had two really, but one specifically when I first got to ESPN, like I wasn't even 2 days in. When you first start, you go through this thing called rookie camp. They keep the sports theme. So you go through rookie camp, which is basically training for the first couple of weeks. And my second day in rookie camp, one of my, at the time, supervisors, well, he wasn't even a supervisor, but he was like a VP over the department. He likes to take all of the new people out to breakfast. So, ESPN is in Bristol, right across, there's the Doubletree. The Doubletree has a restaurant inside that has really good breakfast. So he took us to breakfast, and he asked everybody at the table, what do you want to do? Like, what's your ultimate goal? And when he got to me, he's like, what do you want to do? And I was like, I really want to be able to transition into being on-camera talent, really want to talk more about women's basketball, women's sports, work for ESPNW possibly. And he looked at me, and he was like, you know that's not going to happen, right? And I was like, what?
At breakfast with everybody?
At breakfast in front of everybody. And he was like, mind you, this is a Black man. Keep that in mind. And he's like, so it hurt a little bit worse, right? And he's like, we don't transition people from production to talent. Like that just doesn't happen. If you want to be,
hasn't happened.
I said, he's like, if you want to do some on camera stuff, that's cool, but you might want to find another place of employment because
on day
here
2
at ESPN. On day 2, he's like, here.
And you stayed?
I did stay.
You a real one.
I did stay. Because what ended up happening is that conversation happened in December of 2014. And in December of 2022, I signed a talent contract.
Thank you. Give me applause.
That's what happened.
Thank you.
So I was like, cool. And it took 8 years. But at the end of the day, it was like, he has retired. He was there forever. Very respected guy. You know what I'm saying? But he basically was like, we don't see people transition from production behind the scenes to be an on-camera talent. Most of the time, people have to leave the company and go work somewhere else and then come back as whatever it is that they want to be. And I was just like, I don't understand why we have to do that, because we're ESPN. Like, we're the biggest sports conglomerate in the world. You have the ability to make anybody a star if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Why would I need to leave and come back? So I fought, I clawed. I had people tell me no. I had people tell me, no, you couldn't do this. No, we're not going to let you do that. I just found workarounds. Really, network with the right people, talk to the right people, got in the right rooms, had the right people put me on, say they want to work with me, started a social media following, got to a point where it became undeniable, where it was like, we have to.
Like, you need me.
Like, you have to put her on. You have to do this.
Right.
And like, that's really what helped like push me to that next level. And I'm still, when I tell you I still got so much more to do and so far to go, like I'm nowhere near where I want to be. But to have gotten here is so gratifying and validating, because there were so many people who were like, nah, sis, like, this not what we do. And I'm just like, fuck y'all, watch this.
That's not what y'all do.
The reverse
Watch
Wakanda.
this.
We do not do that here.
It's like, watch me.
So the beautiful thing is, and like a lot of people say, you know, like when you're working for like a company like ESPN, right? Like, they obviously have their image that they have to protect or, you know, pertain, and you working for them have to fit that mold, right? But, you know, in creating this podcast, this was back when like Jamel Hill and Michael Smith, I was going to say Michael Scott, but Michael Smith were hosting the 6 p.m. on ESPN, right? Ryan Clark, even now with like the pivot, right? Those are some of the three people that when I was like thinking about doing this back then, were like, hey, look, they're able to maintain their personality and character while delivering. And it's not easy being a person of color, male or female, you know, in Jamel's, you know, case, in that industry. And then we see you, obviously, all the energy being you. So how do you find a way to maintain your personality while being professional in such a tough industry?
That's a great question. I think it's just all about being comfortable with who you are and being willing to bet on yourself. And not a lot of people are able to do that. Not necessarily willing to do that, but able to do that. Because, I mean, let's face it, like, this is your bottom dollar. This is your money. Right? And everybody not willing to be like, well, fuck this job. Nah, you like, I got to pay my bills. Like,
that's a fact.
What you mean? I guess I will take off this red lipstick then, because, but like, one thing that I am proud of myself for is that I've never felt like I've ever needed to be anything other than Terrika. Like, I'm going to give you professionalism, but that doesn't mean I have to lose who I am and my authenticity in the process. And it has not always been popular. I will never forget, even with my ESPN interview, like, I put a wig on because my hair was like blonde and red or some shit, and I put like a brown wig on, and I did real cute so I could be, because growing up for me, professional was small earrings, not big earrings, nude lipstick, not too much makeup, brown hair, blue suit, like, and so that's how I presented in my interview. And granted, my personality was still there, but my look and appearance had to be, this is what it is. And even with trying to get, like, you know, when I'm doing post-game conferences or getting into, you know, games that I'm covering at the beginning of my career, I had to, you know, make sure that I didn't dress a certain way, as to not, because I was covering NFL, I was covering MLB. I couldn't be in these locker rooms just like dressed crazy. However, like, I needed to make sure it was clear that I'm here as a professional, I'm covering a sport, I'm doing my questions, and I'm getting out of here. That type of situation. And then one day I seen this white girl walk through the hallway at ESPN with this pink and black hair, and I was like, now why am I putting on a wig? And this girl got pink hair. That was the moment that I said, never again. I will walk in here with braids to my ass if I feel like it, and nobody's gonna say anything to me about it. But no one did. And that was one thing that I could appreciate, that company, again, I was behind the scenes, appreciated that I could be myself. And so as I started to get more on camera reps, I think the fact that I was myself is what made me marketable. Because at this time, you know, this is the George Floyd era, when everyone's wanting to give black people all this time and attention because they got this white guilt going on, that like, oh, I'm so upset and I'm so sorry. Let me make sure we find you these opportunities. Like, that was working, where they were like, no, we want you to be you. We want you to be yourself. I don't know that they realized that that was the kind of thing that people actually liked. Like people can resonate with someone who looks like them and truly sounds like them and acts like them. And it's funny because I get some people all the time who be like, do you have an anchor voice? I'm like, yeah, you're here. You hear it.
It's here.
It's here. Like, that's it. Like, that's the voice that I use.
Time.
Right.
Online. Like, they don't change. It's the same voice, same inflection, same everything, same. I'm using the same slang jargon, same everything. Like, because either you're going to get me or you don't want me at all. And that's fine. There are some networks who are like, you're a bit too much for me. Cool. But I sleep good at night knowing that I don't change who I am to fit you. Like, I do me.
Right.
And it is either you love it or you don't.
Right. And take it as it is, because I know I'm enough. Like, look at everything I've done.
Right. I know I'm good. Like, either you like CBS find it good, they ain't cut your girl off yet. So I'm like, cool. You know what I mean? He's still cutting the checks. I'm here for it.
Yeah. And you're clearly like passionate and educated in what you do, but I'm sure it's a lot.
Yeah.
You know, like, I'm sure it's a lot. So
I get the threats. I get the DMs.
Dang.
I get the threats. They be like, oh, you N-word, you don't know what you're I get them.
Really?
And for real, get them. Like, for real. It's crazy. You bitch and blah, 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 and I better not catch you. I'm like,
Do you just have to ignore them?
I just ignore them. Sometimes there are some that I like screenshot and put on blast. You know what I'm saying? Like, follow this account, like, just annoy him because he wanted attention today. But for the most part, like, I just really ignore it, block it, delete it. If it comes to, like, one of my work accounts, I'll send it to, like, the legal department. They do have, like, a phishing department and stuff like that. But for the most part, like, it's just, it comes with the territory. It really does. Like, you have to have thick skin in this business. You really do.
So what's the, excuse me, work-life balance like? Because that right there,
What's that?
Damn, my bad. Because you could just be trying to scroll down Insta's Twittergram, whichever one of the three, and
It's the Twittergram.
and somebody just, hey, you stupid bop bop, and you just trying to enjoy, you know, what your day, but you just went on a 12-hour day. Now you gotta hop on this flight, yada yada yada. That's part of the job. It's not all the glitz and the glamour and the beautiful
God,
things.
no. And Ashley can tell you, like, just this past weekend was just nuts. I was on the road for 12 days, got off the plane. Like, literally, I got off the plane at, like, 10 o'clock at night, and I had an 11 o'clock hit for CBS HQ. Sheesh. So I had to run home, brush my hair real quick, and, like, throw on some lip gloss, had on a regular T-shirt because I couldn't change just yet, and still had to just do this hit real quick. And I was like, okay. And then wake up at like 9 a.m. to do like 4 hits the next day. Like, it is nuts. Like, and people don't always see that part. But at the same time, you kind of feel like, damn, I can't complain because I get to like talk about sports for a living, and that's really cool. But it is tiring. Like, it is tiring. It's a lot of numbers. It's a lot of watching basketball. Like, dog, sometimes I just, I might just want to watch like Netflix today.
I want to watch Grey's Anatomy today.
You know what I mean? Like, I just want to. I did make time to watch the 52 part on TikTok though. Why who the F did I marry? I made time to watch that.
Hey,
I made time for that.
So do you get to enjoy it when you're watching, or are you just studying?
It depends on who I'm watching.
Okay.
It depends on who I'm watching. Like, sometimes it's like, I don't care about this game. I'm just here so I don't get fined. Right.
I'm here for this game.
I'm just
Shout
here.
Out
Shout out to
okay.
Marshawn Lynch. But for the most part, like, I do still enjoy, like, and that's why I'm on Twitter a lot, well, X a lot, because I feel like I enjoy it more when I'm conversing with other people about the stupid shit that we're watching. Like,
Twitter
it ain't
is
even
a
about the
scary
game.
place, though.
You think so?
Yeah, like, I open my Twitter, you never know I can't open my Twitter in public. Like,
That's the beauty of it. That's the
Man,
beauty.
what's on y'all's Twitter?
That's the beauty of
What's on
it.
y'all's Twitter?
I know.
my followers are ridiculous.
They wild.
Yeah.
They wild. I love it. I feel you though. I do have to also be mindful of things that are on Twitter. Like, well, my mama's right here. I can't open it.
Yeah, I don't have Twitter. Like,
I mean, X.
when it I was gonna say when it converted over to X, I was like, bro, I don't have the time. And to be real, if it wasn't for this podcast and my coaching business, I probably wouldn't be on social media at all.
I don't think I could ever leave social media. I just don't think I ever could. Like, it is It's funny to me.
It's
ghost
a
follower.
rabbit hole.
It's so funny to me. Like, I just think it's like, for me personally, it's just how you use it, right?
For sure.
You know what I mean? Like, I think people who feel their social media with drama is because you use your social media for drama. Like, it ain't like you woke up today and Facebook just so happened to just put some bullshit in your inbox. Like, girl, you invited that foolishness into your social media. Like, whatever. But there are just different ways. Like, I use it for connections. Like every platform I use differently. Like Facebook I use for connections. People, family, friends who I ain't seen in forever. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of sorority stuff. Like, I try to be on my better behavior, not best, but the better behavior on Facebook, because there's just so many people that are following and watching who like I care about, and I'm like, let me make sure I ain't embarrassing my mama out here, because they will call my mama. No, like, listen, that's the one person I do got to be fake for. I be like, Mom, me? Of course not. That wasn't me. No, not me.
I was at church.
Like, what? We got the same name. That wasn't me. Instagram, I don't use as often. Like, my Instagram is mostly sports. Like, so when I like anything that's not really sports related, I don't always put that on my like feed. I try to put that like in my stories or whatever. But I just try to like really be marketable, pick nice pictures, like, you know, showcasing my stuff. I do a lot of that on Instagram. Twitter is just where I get to just don't give a fuck. Like, I just ignorant on Twitter.
Talk my shit.
I just talk shit.
And there's no character count anymore.
It's 240 now.
Is it 240?
Yeah, it's 240 now.
I saw somebody post.
That's because they pay $8.
What?
Nah.
I ain't got $8 for that foolishness.
$8 a month
for the check.
So if
Or
you
like
get the blue
each
check, so like the blue check mark now, you
could
don't
pay for those.
You have to pay anytime. So it's so funny how the world works. Because at one point in time, everybody wanted to be blue check verified, and like now, if you're blue check verified, I know it was. I was hype as hell. I was like, oh my god, I'm verified. It was crazy. But now, if you got a blue check, people looking at you like, oh, you paying Eli? You paying Eli $8 for that blue check? Like, blue check ain't even being cool no more. Like, it's not even cool on X no more. So, it's an $8 premium fee now. So if you pay the fee, then you could like write as long as you want. You can edit your tweets. You can do all of that.
Yeah,
I just be short and wrong.
Yeah, earn that.
Short and
I just be short and wrong because I'm not giving your ass $8.
That's crazy. And while we're on the conversation of media and platforms, right? So we alluded to it earlier, the 3-on-3 podcast. Right?
Yeah.
Talk about that a little bit, and the fact that athletes now have this platform of their own podcast, right? And some of them
There's only a handful who doing it right.
There's only a handful.
Some of them I like. Some of them is just like people only listening to you because you are who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad
George.
you said that, because coming from me, I sound like a hater.
Nah, it's the truth.
All right. but yeah, talk about, the 3-on-3 podcast, but also, athletes now having their own platform to control their own narratives.
Yeah, that's really cool.
And who your favorite athlete podcast is, if you can.
Oh, okay. So, 3-on-3 was, we talking about Michael Smith. Michael Smith has a new venture called Inflection Point Entertainment. Cool. And through Inflection Point, they have a deal with iHeartRadio, or iHeartRadio, iHeart Podcast, all of that whole iHeart family. And he wanted to start a podcast that was about basketball, not specifically NBA or college or W, but just people who could talk basketball, period, in all factors, not even necessarily X's and O's, because we have enough X's and O podcasts out there, but just talk about the culture, the fashion, the players, the things surrounding the game. Cool. So I was really excited when he asked me about it. It's on, you can find it on iHeartRadio. And that's what it's my my co-host, Chris Williamson. And our podcast started with Dee Dee Richards, who was a former New York Liberty star. She played in Australia. She's now with the Washington Mystics. But now, because of her schedule, she's got a lot going on. We now have a new co-host whose name is Cherie Nicole. She's an Essence reporter. She's a basketball savant. Absolutely love her. So we have a great chemistry. Our show is usually out on Wednesday. And I love that. I just love venturing into new things. Like, my specific women's basketball podcast is Around the Rim that I do with LaChina. But this one is just a little bit more fun. It's a little bit more free. And we just kind of get the vibe on a different level. I really love doing the show with the people who I do the show with, because like this podcast, like the vibe is just different. It's conversational. It's no holds bars. Like you just get to be yourself and not really confined or constrained to like the rules of like media. Right. In fact, it's funny because if I start to say something that sounds media-ish, they'd be like, Terrika, pull that TV shit off. Pull that off. You're getting too TV-ish to pull that off. All right, got you. You feel me? I'm like, cool. Let me break out the ratchet. In terms of my favorite athlete podcast, this one isn't really an athlete podcast, but it is an athlete podcast. And you mentioned it earlier, The Pivot. I love The Pivot.
I love The Pivot.
I love The Pivot.
I watch it religiously.
Love The Pivot. I've grown to really love Ryan Clark. Like he and I ain't best friends, but like we're really cool. And he a Kappa, so he know it's love there. But
he retweeted me a couple times.
Did he? Ryan's my guy.
And when I'm like, yeah,
Ryan is definitely my guy. He's mad cool. He really is a cool dude. And so I really love The Pivot. Another athlete podcast that I'm trying, on the women's side, Asia Wilson, her and I'm drawing a blank. Her and Nafisa. Her and Nafisa Collier had a podcast. They don't have it anymore, but they were one of my favorite podcasts to listen to because it's just dope to hear like women in sports talk about shit that has nothing to do with sports.
Oh, that's dope.
You know what I'm saying? Like
That's
it's
dope.
like I love that. Like players just like being themselves, and like the things that they talk about wasn't even like even if something happened on the court, it's like to hear the perspective of like how it actually happened versus what we thought we saw was pretty dope. But I think like those would have been like my favorite too. But I love The Pivot. Like it has truly evolved like from where it started to where it is now.
All right, I got a different question. Instead of your favorite, who's your favorite storyteller, professional athlete? Because I know who mine is off the top.
Storyteller.
Who's a professional athlete?
That's a good question.
I've never even thought about that.
I was just gonna say I don't think I've ever even thought about that, to be honest. I do love. I think if I'm thinking about like who can just like run off some shit that happened and you be like, what? I might go Steven Jackson.
Okay.
On All the Smoke home.
Oh my God.
Stack the way he's
Stack
going.
You be wild. You be like, you lying, Stack. This did not. But if you know Stack, you know that absolutely happened. Him and Matt Barnes having me dying. So I think maybe like in that perspective, if you mean like just sharing stories from things that happened over time or things from people in the league and things like that, I think he and Matt Barnes might be like, yeah.
Mine's definitely Iman Shumpert.
I knew you was gonna say that.
What? Yo, he cracks me up.
That's funny.
Because I feel like I'm in the game with him. When
him?
he's telling the story.
That's funny. I am not the hugest fan of Michael Carter Williams' podcast.
Who?
Michael Carter Williams.
You
See what I'm
play for
saying?
the Sixers.
He's
Not the shade.
he
We ain't bleeping that out.
no, he I think where is he at now? Isn't he
Exactly.
I don't forgot where he at.
He played for the Sixers?
Well, there's another guy. What's his name? He plays for Denver and he has a podcast. What's his name?
Paul George.
No.
Bro.
Paul George don't even play for Denver, bruh.
I don't like his podcast.
It's I'm sorry. I said Michael Carter Williams. Michael Porter Jr.
Oh.
He has a podcast.
I still don't know.
That's a damn shame.
I wouldn't. He's a younger player.
He's a younger player, yeah. But I want to say he plays for Denver, but or you.
No, he does. No, he plays.
He plays for Denver, right? He has a podcast too, and I love the conversation that he had with his teammate. With Joker a couple of months ago, which was really good because I think Joker is a very interesting player. Like he's that guy that is a superstar but doesn't really give a damn about being a superstar.
Don't want to play.
Like
he just want to race his horses.
He just want to just it's his
I got
job.
to go home.
But I love it. Like a part of me just loves that where he's like, I'm clocking in. I'm about to drop this smooth 50 on you, get an MVP, and then I'm going home to my kids and my horses. Like leave me alone.
I don't want to do no parade. I don't want no drink.
Gosh, I just love that so. I love it so much. I don't know. It's the weirdest thing, but it's the best. It is. It really is.
He came for a better life.
He's a lunch pail dude, and I'm out. Like I love that about him. But I just don't really dig the podcast podcast itself. Like, that was a great interview, but like, I've tried to listen to some others, and I'm just like,
he doesn't give off someone that I would want to listen to. I just, and maybe because he's young, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, maybe in 5 years, I would, but right now, like, if you told me he had a podcast, you just did.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not intrigued about being like, hey, let me hear what you have to say.
I just,
Now, if Kyrie had a podcast,
I would be the first to tune in to that podcast.
Also, Kyrie been going crazy lately.
Yes. Yes. One of my faves.
Yeah.
So one of the conversations that has been big in women's sports, right, is equal pay.
Yeah.
Right. And not even just women's sports. I think jobs across every industry. Right.
Yeah.
And the USA women's soccer team.
Yep.
They did their thing where they were like, nah, like, we're actually the better team. We need to get our correct pay, and they paid them out.
Yep.
So let's talk about what equal pay looks like, whether it's sports or working in general. Like, what does that look like, and what does equality really look like? Because that is a big debate.
Oh yeah, it's a huge conversation. I think it's first, like, when it comes to sports versus some other sectors, like, we have to make sure we distinguish the difference between equality and equity, right? And like, that's one of the things that people get confused a lot, specifically when it comes to like women's basketball. The awesome thing about U.S. soccer is that it's a larger federation where, on a scale of how they pay their players, they have the ability to make things equal.
Okay.
Right? As it relates to women's basketball, they're not really looking for equal pay. They're looking for equity in pay. So essentially, if I am to make, if you make 60%, I'm just making this number up, but if you make 60% off of every dollar that's sold, I'm asking to also make 60% off of every dollar that's sold. Now, men's basketball may sell $500 million. Women's basketball may only be $500,000. We know that the amount is not going to be the same. But the equity, the percentage, that is the revenue sharing, like, that is what needs to increase. That's what they're looking to say. Like, let us figure out the marketing and how we can increase this, that, and the third to get more money coming in. Like, everyone's been trying to figure that out forever. So I always laugh when these people just pop up on social media like, you know what the women need to do to make more money? They need to, like, bro, there are people who are a lot smarter than you, been doing it for a lot longer than you. And if they ain't figured out the formula yet, yo ass damn sure ain't either.
And they don't tune in to help the women make more money.
Exactly. So, like, what are we talking about here? But with all of that being said, as it relates to some other opportunities across the world, like, if we both work in security, I'm not about to potentially get shot for $50 and you potentially getting shot for $200. Like, what are we doing here?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
especially we doing the same thing.
And we're doing the same thing. Like, we're not. I'm not doing this. I want my extra $150 to get shot at. Not about to just settle for this $50 and my man right here getting $150 more. Like, nah, that's not what's up. And so I think, like, that's the bigger issue, is just that there's a lack of respect for women. There's a lack of respect for what women do and women's capabilities, and it shows when it comes to, like, paying people their worth. And I know, like, even we look at Hollywood and we look at the recent situation with Taraji P. Henson and things like that, and people will say, oh, what do you mean you made $3 million off this film? You're a millionaire. Why does people care? But I'm like, you know what I'm saying? But my co-star made $30 million off this same film. Like, what are we doing? Like, we're doing the same things. We're carrying the load of the film, and he just made 10 times more money than I did. The math is absolutely not mathing. And then I think that, to her point, even on a smaller scale, someone like me, which is way smaller than Taraji P. Henson, but I could share her sentiment when it's like, you're not just here on your own. Like, you have a whole team behind you, which is true. When I get paid, I got to pay my agent. I gotta pay my makeup team. I gotta pay my stylist. Like, these are all people that's getting a cut of my little $1,000 that I just made. So I'm really about to leave with like 500. I ain't even leaving with 1,000. You know what I mean? People don't see that, and
not including tax.
That's not included. That's off the top.
Yeah.
That's off the top. That's not even including the taxes that I'm saying. You get
really
what I'm saying? So I'm really leaving with like 300, 250. You know what I mean? Like, I barely made rent. So we be like
mortgage. We move it all up.
We definitely moved up. We definitely moved
talk that good
up.
talk.
And the first of the month is next week, and I'm like, bitch,
child.
what?
And this month was a 3-month pay period, but that still don't
But
change.
it still don't change.
It still don't change.
And I gotta
knew
buy
that.
food. Like, I gotta eat. Like, what? This is what I'm saying. And so imagine that, but on like a grander scale. Like, that's what people have to deal with. In the W, it's no different. Like, and let's keep in mind that some people don't realize that when you're done playing, unless your CBA is structured properly, you don't even have certain additional benefits. Like, there might not be health insurance
That
for
Tony
you.
Snell
That may
situation.
be, you feel what I'm saying? Like, you might not have like an incoming pension. You might not have. So it's important to make sure that these people get what could possibly set them up for the future when their playing career is done. And that's why you will notice that you'll see a lot of women trying to supplement their income, specifically in women's basketball, outside of just playing. Like, not everybody wants to go overseas, even though the money overseas is incredible, which further should let you know that there is money to be made. Because they will go overseas to play to supplement their income in the off season and then come back here during the season. But you've noticed that it is very exhausting.
You don't get a break.
Yeah, I was saying your body gets no time to recover.
Your body gets tired. Which, I mean, think about that. Like, these women will play basketball here from May until, let's say, September if you're good. Yeah. And then soon as you're done, you will literally get on a plane to go to China or to Russia, or, well, hopefully not to Russia, but to China, or to, to Prague, or to Italy, or whatever. Spain, whatever, to play in these international leagues. You'll play there, Australia. You'll play there until February, March.
Come back.
You'll come back, get a month off, and then it's time for training camp. Jeez. And that's if your league goes that long. There are some leagues that go longer and will run into the start of the WNBA season. So there's just a lot of factors that these women have to go through, while the men, they play their season when the season is over in April, May, June, depending on how good you are. You're good to go until October. Right. You do what you want to do.
You get to go play in the open gym.
You get to go do whatever you want to do, right? So there's certainly a difference, but I do think that these women deserve the equity that they deserve. Like, give them the percentages that they deserve to allow them to make the money that they deserve to make. They're not asking to make $200 million like Clay.
And you broke that down very well. Yeah. Like, that's the first time anyone has broke it down, like, equity versus equality. And like, we not asking for 60% of
we not asking for $500 million. We just
like,
asking whatever we make, give us the same percentage that y'all get of what you earn. That's all. That's all it is. And I feel like that's fair.
Do you think a longer WNBA, because the WNBA season is quick, and it's short. Do you think a longer season would like benefit the players, or?
I don't know if it would benefit the players. I do think that coverage is the biggest thing. And I love that we're starting to see extensive coverage now. Like, we've seen more games on, like, ESPN. We've seen, and when I say ESPN, I mean like the actual ESPN channel, not necessarily the ESPN family, like ESPN2 and stuff like that. It makes a difference. More games on ABC. The last year, the All-Star game was aired on ABC. This year, it'll be aired on ABC. Like, things like that help to, there are more broadcast partners, Amazon, Ion, and people were like, what the hell is Ion? I'm like, bro, listen, this is a good thing that this game is on Ion, because I could walk in Walmart right now, buy a TV that's a smart TV, turn it on TV, and guess what's on there? Ion. That means you don't need no cable, you don't need no antenna, you don't need nothing. You could just turn on the TV and watch Ion and see a WNBA game. That's great for coverage. Like, my grandma can watch a WNBA game if she wanted to. Right. Like, that's the kind of coverage that she want. Here in Connecticut, NBC Connecticut now airs the, NBC Sports Boston now airs the Connecticut Sun games, which is great because now it extends the coverage. And what happens when people see it, it's like the Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come. Like, if you watch it, if you put it on TV, people will watch it.
I'm not gonna lie, those are great games. like the few that I've been to, like in person, I'm like, oh, this is like girls be good after.
Especially that time of year, you really only competing with baseball.
For real, and we're going to compete with something.
Right,
But like we're going to compete with something. Like there's no time of year where you're not competing with anything.
Right.
When it gets like playoff time, we're competing with the NFL. When you get now, like at the start of the season, you're competing with the NBA playoffs.
Right.
Then in the middle of the season, you're right. Like you're competing with, like there's never a time where you're not competing with something. But the product is the product. And the viewership numbers are increasing. So people are watching.
The Aces just sold out season tickets.
See what I mean? And so did Indiana because they know they about to get Caitlyn Clark.
What's the most viewed sport? I'm so ignorant to all this.
NFL.
Soccer.
Oh, soccer.
Come on now.
Soccer.
Oh, really?
Soccer's the #1 sport in the world.
That is facts.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
That is facts. I was thinking you meant like in America, but if you mean like period,
World?
it's definitely soccer.
Okay,
And
American
the next,
NFL world.
The
soccer.
next
In the States, it's definitely NFL.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the
Without-
next 2 years for soccer are going to be bonkers.
Really?
Like this
Soccer's
summer alone,
nuts.
you have the Euros, the Copa America, and the Olympics. Next year, if I'm not mistaken, the World Cup.
Is it?
Is
Aren't they
no,
doing it in?
In 2 years, right?
It's in 26, right?
26, yeah. So 2 years you have the World Cup, and then there's something else like all the qualifiers next year.
And I think the World Cup is in LA, right?
It's
Or
in the United States.
It's in the US. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, they're
And
doing
the-
like
the-
different. Yeah.
The finals in MetLife, which is crazy.
Crazy.
I don't know of all the stadiums that they could have picked because they're painting the picture of, hey, come to New York City.
Is it
Motherfucker,
grass
you
or
in New
turf?
Jersey.
You are
You
in
in
New
Jersey.
Jersey.
It's
You
a
are.
great stadium.
You
bro.
are not even in New York. All those people coming from overseas going to be like,
Wow.
Wow. Well, first off,
They'll be
people
like,
are gonna
wow,
come
look
and
at New York.
no, they're gonna come here and they're gonna be like, it smells really bad around
and
here.
the tap water tastes like doo-doo.
It's
Yeah. New Jersey.
And that's,
stinks
they
here.
were deciding between Dallas,
expensive.
SoFi, and MetLife.
Yeah,
I think we're the 3 final stadiums.
I think so.
And they picked MetLife.
Is
Granted, I'm happy. I mean, I'm not gonna be there.
I mean, but you're right here,
Right.
But still,
Is
like,
it grass or turf? Because I know that's big for soccer.
They're changing it to grass. So FIFA has a thing. So like certain things that that they have to meet, right? So you have to have a minimum seat requirement, which was why the Rose Bowl was counted out. You have to have grass, and then there's like one other standard that like you have to meet all 3 of those to be considered. Oh yeah, the size of the pitch, because like all soccer fields, you could be a minimum. I think it's like 120 by I think 65 or 70 is the minimum, but you could also be 120 by 85. So there's like a certain field requirement that you have to have. So those are like the 3 things that you have. So they're gonna change all the fields to grass for the World Cup.
Yeah, I've been skating by for 32 years. I don't really watch sports like that. Like
but you know what? That's cool though, because now is a great time to like get involved. Like now is a great time to check it out.
Now.
Yeah, if not, when now?
I like playing sports, but to sit there and watch it, unless it's like a big game, like someone has to tell me like, yo, I'm an Eagles fan, so like I'll watch an Eagles game, but like everything else, yeah, no, go Jets.
Yeah, we going to the bowl next year.
Yeah, make that
I
face
got a
again.
question. Hold on. Because I got a
He's a
question.
Jets fan?
Gang Green, baby. Chad Pennington, Curtis Martin, Revis Island. Yeah, I'm a real Jets fan. Talk dirty to me. What up? We going to the bowl next year.
Oh
No,
my
you
god!
not.
And
We
yet-
going to the bowl.
Yeah, all I saw in my head was the butt fumble.
That didn't count. Dirty Sanchez don't count.
Although I will say I respect the Jets as D just because my dog Sauce Gardner be out there making it happen.
I fuck
from the
with
east
Sauce.
side. From the east side.
His pivot interview was really good.
Yeah, Sauce is that dude.
I like it, and he's
Sauce
got a
is that
documentary
dude.
as well.
Does he?
Oh,
I
really?
haven't seen a documentary.
It's like he made it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he don't look like a Tubi film, do it?
Y'all need
No. It's
Y'all need to
it's
know
solid.
I gotta
story.
ask because Detroit out here making Tubi.
He
just,
didn't make it like. Yeah.
We are the reason Tubi exists right now because Detroit films, you just be like, damn.
So you from Detroit, but you got a Colts hat on.
I do, and a Colts tattoo as well.
So you a Colts fan?
I'm a diehard Colts fan.
How, Sway?
My dad was a Baltimore Colts fan.
Ooh.
And so I kind of grew up Like, it was one of those really weird situations where I grew up to love the Indianapolis Colts because they moved to Indy the year I was born. But I also grew up in the Barry Sanders era of the Detroit Lions. And so you cannot hate. Yeah, you can't hate. Like, I never grew up to hate Detroit.
Right.
Like, it was never one of those things where it was like, oh, you hate. Like, but I also don't claim to have two teams because at the end of the day, above all else, I want to see the Colts win. I don't care who they're playing. You'll be playing Detroit. All right, well, I'm sorry. This is the one that you won't win, Detroit, because my Colts got to win. It's what it is. But when they're not facing the Colts, like I do pull on for my city. So I was happy as hell this year that Detroit was damn near in the Super Bowl. I was ready to go to Vegas and turn up. Like, what's good? I was ready to go in. But no, so I tell people that I am a Colts fan, but a Detroit supporter.
Okay.
So I support a Lions supporter because I'm a Pistons fan. Me too. Shit.
Hey, y'all about to get the #1 draft pick for nobody.
Nobody. Listen.
Ain't nobody coming
ain't
out.
Nobody, we might get Zach Edey. You might be out of Purdue.
Y'all better off trading it. Spencer, what y'all talking about?
Yeah,
I know. My dog Kate Cunningham just be out. He was so Detroit too. He came out with the buffs on and shit.
They started off 2-1, and he was like, "We going to the playoffs."
Oh, we out here litty. And then we lost 28 in a row, and I was like, "It's like, is this life?"
Yeah, for the foreseeable future.
This is life. Like, we couldn't even catch a nigga slip. I mean, we couldn't even catch nobody slipping.
Now, you said what you said. You said what you said.
I was like, damn, we can't even catch nobody on a bad day. Like, nobody having a bad day.
They're like, oh, we played them. It's a good day for us.
We could go out the night before.
Wow.
Right.
Wow. Man. It was crazy how that happened.
Well, shit. We've been chopping it up a little over an hour and a half.
I know. I was looking
at the full soccer
like,
game. This was great.
Like, this flew.
So as you know, well, first of all, thank you for blessing us. You've been a supporter of us, the live events. And
that was really fun.
With the blue hair.
I did.
I'll never forget that.
At
first I was like, who is this well-spoken
I thought
woman?
you was going to jump up there and choke Spencer out.
I wasn't. I was cool. We was cool.
Yeah. I'm here to ruffle feathers.
You ruffled a few.
Listen, I held back. I don't know. Sydney, I will go on camera. Sydney scares me. Like,
really?
She's the only person who I go tit for tat and lose. I'm just like, this is crazy. I think I'm like 3-0. I mean, 0 for 3.
Spencer, take the L. Spencer, take the L. And he keep going. Spencer, take the L. And I'm just like, all right, bro.
Some people just, as my grandma would say, some people don't believe fat meat greasy. Just go ahead. And go ahead.
Oh, man. But you've been a supporter, so it's dope to finally sit down with you. And
love it.
I appreciate your energy, your personality. This was dope.
This was fun. This was definitely fun. Thanks for having me, y'all.
As you know, we end every episode 15 seconds of fame. Look at that camera, whichever camera we got cameras. I get excited.
Cameras everywhere.
Drop your social media tags. You could talk about anything we just talked about. You could talk about, the boyfriend that broke your heart in the 6th grade, whatever. If you want to put him on blast.
Oh my gosh.
It'd be like that.
You got your 15 seconds and do your thing.
All right. Well, I mean, I just really say thank you guys for having me. Just keep up with me, really. That's all I really ask. Just follow me, keep up with me. I'm on Instagram at @SheKnowsSports_, Twitter at @SheKnowsSports, and Facebook also at @SheKnowsSports. Like, keeping it consistent. So, just keep up with us, keep up with me. Watch women's basketball. Like, just watch it. Don't talk about it. Don't hate on it. Just watch it. And if you still don't like it, cool. But I bet you'll love it. That's it.
Fire. We got to start letting our guests go last.
Right. Well, no, it depends on the guest, because some guests we got to carry.
Damn.
Not you, though.
I understand that, though. I've been there. I've been there.
Cool. Yeah. Today was great. Like I said, this was a long time coming. This was a great conversation.
Yeah, great show.
And I didn't even have to talk that much. I was just sitting back. I was like, I'm just listening. Like, let the professionals go at it. But no, so yeah, for everybody, I would say in 2024, everyone take care of their health. I done found I had some health things going on with me. I got to flip the script on life, but I'm glad I went to the doctor. Black people, black men, get yourself a PCP. Not a lot of us have them. and that's a primary care provider.
Break that down. Break that down.
Break it
Break that down. Because some folks will be like, what?
Right.
Psychedelics.
Isn't that drugs? Is he asking us to go get drugs?
Yeah.
I went to school with a PCP.
That
was crazy.
It was crazy. Did you smoke that?
you boof it?
Hey, yo.
But yeah, definitely take care of your health, black men, black women. Get yourself a PCP, and again, this has been a great episode.
Health is wealth.
Facts.
Thank you to the team. Thank y'all for being here. Amongst all our crazy lives and everything, always got to shout y'all three out and appreciate y'all. Again, Terrika, thank you for being here.
Woo, woo.
Damn, I just drew a blank, getting real excited about what I was going to read. And almost said the creative campus, but we
Collective space.
collected. Thank you. Who that? Collective Space, thank you for, again, hosting us. Y'all, like Spencer said at the beginning of the show, come down here if you need a studio space, if you want to record, if you just need to do some work, if you want to take pictures, come down here, network, do your thing. And my 15 seconds of fame that just deleted and I'm looking for is to define a human is to define imperfections. Ooh. So with that, don't put too much pressure on yourself. Be yourself, love yourself, and be happy. And that's a wrap on another episode of the best podcast in CT, because we here to take over and we here to do it big.